So welcome back to the Rock and Roll Gear Show. What's in this case? You know what's in this case, you've seen it before. I've done a couple of videos on this guitar actually. This is the can't really be called it anymore, was the Glarry GTL. But there's been quite an extensive amount of work being done to this guitar, and it's still a work in progress, but we're getting very, very close to it. I'm going to share my progress with you in this episode. So if you check around, I'm going to put up there all the different things that I've done. I'm not going to list them vocally because it's going to take too long. You'll get bored and then you'll just skip on to someone else's video. So check out what I've done, keep watching. I hope you enjoy this, and if you've got any comments on it, if you feel I've done it wrong, or you think I've done it great, or you'd like me to, or you've got a request, you think, could you do this to that guitar, let me know, and I will do the best I can to accommodate your wishes. Enjoy. Now, what changes are going to make? I'm going to change out that pick guard for the new one, so let's take a look at that. Let's have a look at what I've put in there. So this is going to be a bit of an uplift for the Glarry. That is a Gibson USA humbucker. Took this out of an SG where I put some iron gear pickups into that. It may not permanently stay in this guitar, but it's certainly going to be there for the moment. The only thing is with it, it's not got the chrome cover, which I would have preferred, would have looked a bit cooler, but having said that, it's going to look pretty cool. And I've gone for the mint green 3-ply pick guard as well. So we're going to get into lining up the holes and seeing what we can do to fit that pick guard nice and neat. But first job is, let's get this thing stripped down, and we're going to start painting those cavities with the electrical contact paint. Okay, so we've now got pick guard, control plate, bridge are all unscrewed. I've got the screws arranged separately in their little compartments in that old baking tray. So here goes. Really conveniently, these guitars, these Glarrys, are already routed out for to take humbucking pickup. Superb. So that's going to make life a lot easier than having to sort of get the router out. Unfortunately, the rear pickup cavity is a traditional telly shape, so yeah, you could put a humbucker in there. It does mean that you're going to have to remove some material from this body to do so. I'm not going to do that. When parts arrive, as and when they arrive, I'll add to this video, but I'm going to replace this Telecaster pickup at some point, but not now. So the next job is to desolder this pickup from wiring in here and get on to painting these cavities. When you start to try and apply, in fact, before you start to try and apply the shielding paint, you're going to need to rough up the surface inside the cavities. Reason for that is that they've received a coat of lacquer the same as the entire body. If you try and put the paint onto that, it's just going to gather up in beads, and it's not actually going to cover the surface. So what you're going to need to do is just to rough up the surface. You don't have to take it off, but just rough up the surface of the lacquer inside the cavity so that the shielding paint can key onto it, and then you're good to go. Right, so the paint is on there. It's had 2 coats of electrical shielding paint in those cavities. You can see they're all black now, as opposed to what they were like before. I'm just going to let that dry. Just as a bit of information for you guys, I bought a 50 milliliter pot, which is really small, of this stuff. It cost me £3.85 on eBay, and I've used half of it. It's had 2 coats, and there's enough in there for another guitar. So when you're considering how much do I need to buy, you don't need to buy the bigger pots. So let's solder this Gibson neck pickup in. The cable's the hot wire the hot part of the cable is the central part, and the outer shielding on the Gibson pickup is the ground. So let's put the hot part on first. That is it. Okay everyone, we're going great guns at the moment. So I've got the guitar plugged into the amplifier, everything's screwed back together on the body as far as the body's concerned, electric's done, new pick guard, the capacitor's put in there, Gibson pickup in the neck position. Right, let's test these pickups. So it's plugged into the amp, it's in the neck position at the moment, the bridge position at the moment. Let's test that, tap it with the screwdriver. Perfect. Let's pop that into the central position, so that's both pickups together. Let's test the bridge, let's test the neck. Both working, ideal. Now let's test the neck pickup. That's great, and just test that the bridge pickup isn't functioning while I've got it in the neck position. nothing coming from there. So that is done. That is all wired up with a Gibson humbucker. Still got the stock Glarry one in at the moment. That will change. I've got some plans for that, put something special in there. They're going to move on to the next part of this, well, I don't know what you call it, supercharging of a Glarry, I suppose. We're going to turn our attentions now to the headstock, the tuners, the logo, and also the string trees. I've made a bit of a start on this headstock already, but now this camera's on. Let's get this thing dismantled, take the tuners off, take that string tree away, see what we've got, and we'll crack into it. Here. Right, so here's where the screws are on the back of the tuners. Quite easy to see. Just pop your screwdriver in and unwind them. Right, let's get into making this guitar look absolutely drop dead gorgeous. Right, preparing to take the finish off of the headstock. This is a flat surface, and you've got relatively defined lines around the profile of the headstock as well. You don't want to lose those. Don't do this freestyle with your hand, because you may just flatten off the edges, lose that profile, and spoil the look of the guitar. What I recommend you do is use a block. You know, it could be a proper sanding block or anything really. I've got here a small block of wood. There it is. I've already got a little bit of self-adhesive sandpaper on the side of there. I'm going to use a little bit of P80 gently to start with, and just wrap that around the block and use the flat surface of this in contact with the neck. I'm just going to go backwards and forwards until I've got rid of that logo. Okay, coming back with some 320 grit. This is actually from a DA, from a rotary disc sander that I've used on cars in the past, but it wraps around the block fine, and the finish we should get from this will be lovely and smooth. It feels absolutely smooth as silk. Very, very, very happy with that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to have a look at the rest of the guitar neck and take that down a little bit, and then we're going to go on to the neck profile itself, and I'm going to slim this down. Now, the thickness of it, i.e. from the fretboard to the back of the neck, isn't too bad. It's maybe a millimetre or two thicker than perhaps a Squire or Fender. Not too bad at all. Where the thickness is, it's down these two, the flanks here. It's here and there. It's almost semicircular like, which gives it that kind of baseball bat finish. So I'm going to concentrate on trying to take the edges down on that side and along that side. Very carefully. I'm going to do the equal amounts of strokes with the sandpaper on one side, then the other side, keep it even. And then I'll be back onto it with the lighter grade sandpaper once I'm happy I've got the profile down sufficiently. So let's crack on and have a look at that. Let's find that structure sandpaper. And here it is. Okay, so mind the camera. So what I'm going to do is from the top, you could take your body off when you do this actually, but what I'm going to do is right from the heel of the neck all the way up to where the headstock joins the body. That's 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to repeat that process on this side of the neck 5 passes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now back again. And don't forget to have a feel of the neck as well as you go, just to see how you're going. You'll know when it feels right, it'll feel right. Don't take too much material off though. Obviously the neck's a structural part of the guitar. It's got a truss rod running through there, but you do need a certain depth of material. But I'd say if you want to be looking at taking a couple of millimetres off, it will be absolutely fine. See how that feels. It's feeling slimmer, definitely feeling slimmer. Still feels a little bit warm up, a bit large here. Let's just concentrate just around there for a bit. Just work that in. Now, even after just a handful of passes, that feels lovely now. But we're going to keep going until we've achieved the level of finish that we really want on this guitar. I'm not going to do the fretboard at all. I'm going to leave that as it is, but I'm going to mask it off right along the edge of the fretboard just to protect that while I put the lacquer on. A couple of coats of lacquer, and then I'm going to sand that back again and make that a satin finish. Not through the finish, but just to make it feel a bit more slippery and fast. So I've suspended the guitar neck from a microphone boom stand with a piece of wire, as you can see through one of the tuning peg holes. I've got the clear coat ready. You can hear me wrapping that up. Good old rattle can, and we're going to dust on a coat, a very, very light coat to start with. We're not going to put very much on at all, just to get enough on there so the second coat can key a bit better. Right, okay, here we go. To dry in the outside atmosphere, and we're back to about 20 minutes time. That should be dry enough to either take another coat or maybe even take a view on it and leave it as it is. So there we go, Glarry coat number 1. Well, this has been a great success. The lacquer's cured, gave it enough time. I was a little bit impatient. I didn't wait the full sort of period of time I was suggesting I was going to. In fact, I waited only a matter of hours, but it was long enough that I could get onto this and flat this finish down with some steel wool and get that satin finish back. I know I seem to use steel wool quite a lot. I'm a fan of it. I know some people aren't. It is a messy old thing to use, but it does give a good result. But that is really pleasing to me. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to get this thing put back together again and see where we're at. So that's how it went today with the Glarry project. It can't be called a Glarry anymore. We're going to come up with a new name for it, a new identity for it, because it's superseded what arrived in that Glarry box 2-3 weeks ago. I'm delighted with the way this is turning out. This is going to turn into a guitar. I am absolutely confident that I'd be very, very happy to pull out of a case and stand on stage and play for 2 hours without hesitation. It's fantastic. Come back next time, because what I've got planned for the next edition is I'm going to take that pickup out and I'm going to wax pot it. That's going to make it probably a bit impervious to feedback at high volumes. I'm also going to do a custom logo for this, so you're going to learn how to print your own custom logos to apply to your own guitar projects or anything else you want to put a custom logo on as well. Get this thing strung up, we're going to listen to it, and also I'm going to do a proper fret job on this, so it's going to be a level crown, and we're going to get this guitar playing as good as any Glarry ever possibly could. It looks fantastic, it's going to play fantastic. Been a pleasure. See you next time on the Rock and Roll Gear Show. Oh, like and subscribe.